Hey, I'm Matt, and welcome back. If you're coming back from one of my previous videos, welcome for the first time if this is the first you're seeing of me. You're joining me today from my car that I bought to replace my 1998 Nissan Stagea that I haven't quite revealed yet, but I'm sure a few keen people could probably recognize from the trim and the seats and the sagging headliner and the stitching on this steering wheel what I'm sitting in. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. But right now, I want to talk about my sale on Cars and Bids and how it actually fell through post-auction results. First and foremost, I just want to say that stuff like this definitely happens, especially in the auto industry. Sales fall through all of the time, whether it's in a car dealership, whether it's private party sale, or if it's on an auction site like Cars and Bids. So after the sale, I spoke with the buyer and everything seemed positive, and we communicated about transportation. A few days went by and I got communications from Cars and Bids asking if I had been in communication with the buyer and how things were going. The Cars and Bids staff was absolutely incredible at navigating the circumstances. They gave me a bunch of options, and at the end I decided to relist my car. So after I made the decision to relist, everything was pretty simple. The Cars and Bid staff took care of everything for me. They copied over the old listing to the new listing. I got a new landing page. They communicated that they were going to get the auction live again as soon as possible because I didn't have any specific dates that I was interested in having. And as soon as the auction went live again, I got so much positive feedback from the community about how the sale had obviously went through. Cars and Bids made a notation that the sale had fallen through, not at any fault of the Stagea or me as a seller, but that the buyer had been unable to fulfill his obligation to pay up on his high bid. Unfortunately, that means that he had to be removed from Cars and Bids permanently, and they made it super clear that a bid is a commitment to buy, which is good because as a seller or a buyer or anyone within this community of people that just really love these kinds of cars, we need to be able to trust that if somebody bids this dollar and it reaches the sale of a car, that that person is going to go ahead and sell that car, and that person is going to go ahead and buy that car for those figures that were agreed upon. So to wrap up my thoughts, I absolutely adore Cars and Bids. I adore their staff. I adore the people that are on their community tabs and pages, people that just come in and comment and ask questions, make corrections, and provide information that maybe wouldn't be that easy to find, that maybe I don't have or the future buyer or owner of the car doesn't have. The community just adds that value back into the circumstances, which is really unique coming from a world of normal car buying and selling, where you have one person on one side of a desk saying, this is what is the car and this is how it's represented and take my word for it. And then on the other end, you have a buyer saying, okay, I either believe you or I don't believe you. In this community, the buyer and the seller are just two people in this living organism that is just trying to make sure that everybody gets a cool car that they like to enjoy, which I think is absolutely amazing. Before I go ahead and let you guys go, fast forward to today, the auction has 5 days remaining and it's doing really well, better than it did on the first time round. And Doug actually said in his thoughts on whether this happens, and of course it does, and obviously not that often, it can mean when you do relist that people get an extra look at the car, and maybe people show up to bid that weren't there the first time. You get a better result, and that doesn't happen every time. Sometimes you might get a worse result, but either way, I really love this community. Those were just my thoughts of what it was like to sell a car on Cars and Bids and then that sale to actually fall through. And I'll be sure to follow up with you and let you know what it's like when this sale ends. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.